All right, well, welcome to another edition of the After Hours podcast. Andy Lindahl, Mark Schlereth. Feels like we're doing something we're not supposed to.
I know I do feel like I'm sneaking around a little bit.
We're in the back room of Bill's off County Line in Holly. Nobody can see us.
No.
A little warm.
It's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. How are you, buddy?
I'm all right. So, of course, we're going to have to talk football at some point. Because
Right.
that's what people want. That's what I find out. But first, about a month ago, as maybe one of the early editions of the podcast, you can find it, Daniel Schlereth was on. He accused you of not understanding his shipping up to Boston reference. Would you like to go ahead and retort your son about your confusion to the modern meme?
No, I mean, it was just music. He sent me some music, and I figured, I was like, I think Daniel just signed with the Red Sox, but my wife and I were just sitting on the couch, we're watching a movie, and this is, I just get this random song, shipping them to Boston, and so I was like, I think our son just signed with the Red Sox. But then I'm like, I don't know. I played it for her, and she goes, well, I don't know. And I mean, So I'm like, hey, how about a little bit of, clarification? Did
context?
You sign with did you sign with the Red Sox? He goes, yes. And I was like, well, I mean, what am I supposed to? I don't know how these kids talk to each other. Now, he's not even a kid. He's 32 years old, for crying out loud. Can you just text me and say, hey, I signed with the Red Sox? You don't have to send me some code. That was total code.
Well, I thought it was funny because he talked about that. He gave you a hard time.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was. I don't. You know what I could tell? He was. You know how when you get this really good joke and you got the one guy in the world I think that you think's going to understand it. He thought you were going to understand what he was saying, and he was disappointed that you didn't.
Well,
so
I understood it to a degree, but
sure.
I mean, it's been a kind of a rough stretch for that kid, right? So I'd like a little bit more than just, I got a song that's playing on my phone.
You were like, are you going to be a fisherman?
Right.
Are you going to be on Wicked Tuna?
Right, exactly. Shipping up to Boston. I mean, what are you doing up there? I don't know. I don't know what he's other than throwing a baseball. I don't know that he's skilled to do anything else. So I guess I should have picked up on that.
You ever watch Wicked Tuna? I think of you sometimes when I watch these guys on these fishing boats reeling in the big fish.
No.
Trying to make a living.
No, I do. Yeah, I did not. There was a big one in Alaska too, right? And being from Alaska, everybody had Deadliest Catch.
Deadliest Catch is still going.
Right. They were like, oh, have you? No, I don't watch Deadly. Like, those dudes are nuts. They are absolutely crazy. Plus, I'm not a real seafood guy anyhow. Like, if I'm going to a restaurant and I have a choice between fish and steak, I'm eating steak. I'm not eating fish.
Well, it depends on where you are. Come on now.
No.
You're in Seattle, you're in San Francisco, you're not going to have a little seafood?
No, I can go to Ocean Prime or whatever. Like a great, is that a seafood place?
Sure.
It sounds
like it.
Should be Ocean Prime.
Yeah.
I'm ordering a steak. They're like, oh, we have this wonderful, fresh snapper. No, thanks. I'm going to snap up the steak, please. Right?
Yeah. All right, I was just curious.
Yeah,
There's just times where I think, I was going to get into this with Mark Stout and Jason Hirsch because we do the other one, but there's times, where you sit on your couch. There's the couch muscles, right? Where I'm watching this thing and I'm like, man, 800-pound tuna. I could haul that in. Maybe I ought to go do this. Hey, honey, I think I'm going to go buy a boat. I'm going to go buy a boat and some reels, and I'm going to go catch fish.
Right.
You don't ever think that? You don't ever
No, I did I went halibut fishing after my rookie year. We go up to Alaska. I'm from Alaska. I've never been halibut fishing. I'm the world's worst Alaskan. Like, you hunt, you fish? No, I don't. Yeah, I don't. My dad grew up in New York City. I grew up in Alaska. We didn't hunt or fish. I have there's no desire. Like, I want to catch. If I'm going to catch. I don't want to go fish. Some guys will stand out there for 12 hours and not catch anything. Oh, but I had some bites, and they're all excited about it. I'm like, really? You had some bites? 12 hours? Like, you can have that. Like, I'm not interested. So I went halibut fishing, and it was fascinating. Halibut's just a big, cod or flounder. It's a big flounder. That's what it is. It just lays at the bottom of the ocean. And when you're halibut fishing in Alaska, it's 150 feet deep or whatever, right? And they put these 2-pound balls on the end of the thing, and they just drop it down to the bottom of the ocean and just clunks around on the ground until, they lay sideways. Their mouth is like kind of on the side of their face, and they just until they bite it, And so we're catching halibut, and I'm telling you, start to get a big halibut. Like I got a 60, 65-pound halibut. It's like hauling up a garage door off the bottom of the ocean. Like, my arms are just blasted, I'm like, oh, my back is... I'm like, oh, this isn't even enjoyable. It was big fish, though.
Yeah, but see, the guys that are into it, like, I don't mind. Like, so I went last summer with my Uncle Tommy. I got an Uncle Tommy and a cousin David out in Houston. And, I mean, they're, like, legit, right? Like, my cousin David... He'll act as a guide for fishing trips out there. He's a firefighter and does all that, and, much more accomplished, actually contributes to the world much more than I do. But we were on their boat fishing in the Gulf, and we caught a couple, like my son, I don't know, this is how good a guide my cousin is. Everything my son cast out, he kept pulling back fish, right? But he started catching, like, baby hammerheads and stuff, which were pretty cool. Until my uncle informed me, he was throwing out these big lines. I didn't know he was trying to catch like a full-size hammerhead. And I'm thinking, that's the size of the boat. Where are we going to put the hammer? If you get a hammerhead,
right,
it's going to join us in the boat, and then what are we going to do?
Why
are you doing that?
It's probably illegal to get it anyhow, right?
Oh, who knows? Maybe.
Right. Not you. You don't know, but...
Wasn't my license.
Yeah.
That weren't my lines. So anyway, I don't know. I'm with you. I'd rather, you know what, I'll go drive the boat, and then I'll go jet skiing, and then I'll screw up your fishing. Mark Johnson's that way, our guy Mark Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get up at 5 a.m., go stand in a river, and see if we can't catch one.
See, this is how I know you're not a boat guy. I don't think you drive a boat.
You sail it?
You sail it or skipper it, captain it.
Yeah, wheels.
I know.
Engines.
Yeah, but nobody who actually works in the boating industry goes, I'm going to go drive a boat.
Well, Andy Lindaugh's going to.
I captain a boat.
What do you want me to do?
You're the skipper.
How awesome would that be? You get the big coat, the full hat, with the little gold thingies on the side. Huh? You want me to do that?
We went fishing. You remember David D's Infante, former.
Yeah.
We used to call him the stunt guard, Doc. Doc and I went on vacation. It was me and Doc, our families, right? And Daniel was just a little guy. And so Doc and I go tuna fishing. And I have a herniated disc in my back. It's killing me. It's the most miserable vacation I've ever been on. So we get, it's like, Doc has got to get up on the boat, and he's got to pull my big fat ass in the boat, essentially, because my back hurts so bad. And so Daniel catches himself a tuna, and he's reeling this thing in. If you ever caught a tuna, it's just a, 25, 30-pound piece of muscle. Like, it's just one big giant muscle. And so he catches this tuna, and I'm giving him grief trying to reel this thing in, right? Later on the trip, he finally gets it in, but I'm killing him the whole time. Later on the trip, I catch one, and I'm reeling it in. And every time they see the top of the water, man, they just bolt back down to the bottom, right? And my back is just, I'm a wreck. I'm an absolute wreck. And I'll never forget, Dave is laughing so hard, with that infectious giggle of his. He's laughing so hard because I am crippled. Like, my back hurts so bad. And I can hardly pull this thing in. And I had been giving Daniel grief, like, come on, boy, put some back into it. So now both of them are chiming in on me. I'm about ready to be in tears because my back hurts so bad. I can't reel this damn tuna in. I got to get help. Just another bad fishing experience for me.
Did you have the sweet captain's outfit on, though?
No.
See, one time all I want to do, get a houseboat, get the glorified captain's outfit like you're about to set sail, on some commanding vessel that's going to go fight in a war somewhere.
Right.
And I just want to be on maybe I even just want to be in a rowboat.
Hey, you don't even need a boat. You can just do that at your
walk
house.
around
Yeah.
Demand they call you the captain.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
All right. Well, so real quick. And again, I promise, folks, we'll get to football. But if you know Mark and I, getting to football is not exactly the top priority. One day we will do a show.
It's not even the top 3.
Now, it may not be a show that anybody hears. It may just be you and me in a basement doing it for our own good. And maybe we'll get Hastings to stop by and just get the whole crew back together.
Right.
But, so, real quickly, I'm getting like 9 texts from drunk people down at opening day.
Uh-huh.
How much do you love or hate opening day? Because we're recording this on opening day. I am so happy that I don't have to dive into the opening day farce down there anymore. I love, and it's nothing against the Rockies. I like the baseball and all that, but it has become such a Mardi Gras type atmosphere.
Right.
I can't deal with it.
I love opening day from my couch.
Yeah.
I just don't want to go down there with the Rockies fans are great, and Coors Field is awesome, and the Rockies are great, and the whole thing and the experience, and Denver does it up right and stuff. I just like the crowd and the drunkenness and I can live without that. So I love going to Coors Field, big time. It's as good as it gets in baseball. But opening day is a spectacle, and it's cool. Don't get me wrong. Having experienced a couple of opening days where my son was actually pitching on opening day, those, like, to see them line up and introduce the team on opening day and, both home and away, that's, one of the coolest things I've ever experienced, to get to see that happen when Daniel was actually pitching in the big leagues. But as far as going and being downtown and this sea of people, I can live without that.
Well, for everybody who thinks that we're a party pooper, when you're doing a show like we did, and you and I had that one, I think it was opening day, where we were doing something from Blake Street Baseball Club, and half the Astros walked in, Bagwell, Biggio, all the big stars of the early 2000s, I should say late 90s, and Jeff Bagwell agrees to do an interview with us. And a poor guy, we were working with this guy, Ed Berliner, who is just the bane of our broadcast existence, big red hair like the Joker or whatever. Hey, Bags! Yeah, do you know him?
Yeah.
Hey,
he's the only guy that I had to pull aside once. He's like uses nicknames of people he's never met. I'm like, dude,
I think he's Bags too.
Yeah, you're not friends with this dude, right? I mean, you're not. You guys aren't buddies. So stop calling him Bags or whatever.
Maybe just stop talking to a Peter.
Yeah, it was Kiki Vandeweghe. Hey, Keeks, how are you, Keeks? And I'm like, dude, shut up. You don't even know the guy.
Bark and I still laugh about a time. You want to go behind the curtain? Here's behind the curtain. I'll never forget being behind the glass. You're on the air with them. I don't remember who you were talking to. It was like one of the professional dodgeball players. Some random dodgeball game came to town or something. And Ed asked the guest that we had on, all right, you've got two extremely athletic individuals sitting here and doing this radio show. Would we be any good at dodgeball? I thought Mark was going to get up and leave. Of top 10 partners you were embarrassed to be with, where does he rank? Is he one? He's got to be one. Come on.
I thought, like, have you ever seen the movie Anchorman?
Yeah.
Anchorman isn't even close. I mean, he underperforms in that movie. Like, he's not even close. Like, Anchorman is subdued compared to Ed.
Anchorman was reality compared to every morning. I've told people this before. This is how Stink and I got going. For those that don't know, so I'd have to call Stink, and I'd call Ed every morning, right? We do the production call. It's just sort of standard fare when you do what we do. And every morning, I told you, every morning, that guy, and again, this is still the time of caller ID. He knows it's me. Every morning he had to answer the damn phone. Speeding Media Group. How can I help you? This is Ed. I was just like, come on, dude. Can you just not really? Speeding Bullet Media Group he talks so fast. He used to kick the live lines. Let's kick the live line, minions. Anyway, sorry. Got off on the Ed Berliner thing.
Everybody's got to have one of those stories. And he's still working. I'm telling you what now.
Oh, he's smooth.
He's a talented dude now. He's a talented dude.
He would lose the puking. He'd be ESPN worthy. He was on some of the original ESPN stuff, according to him. I just can remember Jeff Bagwell agrees to do the interview because he saw you. Mm-hmm. And we literally were they had just got done with opening day, and the baseball players were ready to take in the environment. The Astros are out to hit the town because Denver's so fun. And I can remember chasing Bagwell down in the clubhouse. And he was like, this is with Schlereth, right? I go, yeah. Because I've talked to the other guy, too, and I was like, yeah. He goes, all right, I'll do it. So anyway, that was our live with Ed Berliner. I do want to ask you, since you've been to other places, because I haven't, is Denver's opening day, is it this way? I got to imagine in Chicago it's probably a party feel. Is it a party feel everywhere, or does Denver take it to a new level?
Denver does it right. Denver is actually a great baseball town because so many people that live here come from great baseball towns. Right? There's so many people from Chicago and from, St. Louis and places like that have done it right and understand how cool opening day is. So Denver's very much like that. Now, there's other places where they don't have the stadium's not in the right place, and they don't have that atmosphere, so it's not the same. I mean, think about where Denver opened up. They opened where the Rockies opened up. They opened up in Miami for their opening day festivities. Nobody's coming to the game in Miami, right? They don't care anymore. So it's just a completely different kind of venue. But this is really cool to open up on a Friday. Like the whole city is shut down, and basically everybody just kind of quits what they're doing. So it's a pretty cool opening day here.
I love the energy and the passion.
Uh-huh.
It just gets hard because, again, when you're doing the radio shows, it's like you're the sober guy at a frat party waiting to drive your frat brothers home or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it's always felt to me. I'm always around these people that have, frankly, overindulged, and you're just down there trying to wade your way out of it. I've seen guys literally just fall over on the sidewalk. One time, that one guy was dead. I think he's dead.
Yeah.
He just fell over at the corner there.
Right.
Maybe someone check his pulse. So I just was curious if it got that out of control in other cities, but
I'm sure that it does. But I'm with my wife and my daughters, and we're right, and we're just rolling in there as a parent of a player. You get to the stadium, a little bit earlier, and you get kind of hunkered down in the family section and stuff before they open up the regular gates for everybody. So you kind of are able to skate in there. But there's towns like Boston and like you said, Wrigley Field and all those. That's just a party around the stadium. Boston is one of the coolest places in the world I've ever been. When it comes to a sports stadium, it's old, it's historic. The whole it's a museum. The whole street is they have a street that's connected to the stadium that's nothing but like restaurants, bars, and memorabilia stuff. It's just a really cool place.
Well, let's get into, I don't know, I want to attack football somehow because people are curious about your opinion, but you also do a radio show. You've got a podcast. Who did you have on the podcast of your own this week? Did you have a nice
Pretty
guest?
Much just me.
What did you break down? You had something funny you put out there.
I don't.
You already forgot, didn't you?
Yeah, I've already completely forgotten what I did.
Well,
on the podcast I recorded yesterday, which is
the Stinky Truth,
typical.
right?
Yeah, Stinky Truth podcast.
All right. Well, go find the Stinky Truth podcast. Check that out and see. Matter of fact, check his Twitter. Mark will tell you on Twitter what was great about the podcast. So, we can talk a little football. Obviously, the Broncos signed Juwan James. They're going to be trying to put this offensive line back together. I'm more curious for the guys that don't know, because I know you've got a million great stories, and frankly, when I do these podcasts, I get the most feedback about the stories anybody's telling. How did you guys get the chemistry going? Because, I don't know who ultimately the starting five is going to be. We don't know who they're going to draft. We don't know who maybe is going to pop we didn't expect. So I don't necessarily need your analysis on breaking down the offensive line. And, again, they can listen every morning from, 6 to 9 a.m.
6 to 9 a.m.
on the Fan, and I'm sure plenty of people know that. How did you guys, though, get that chemistry, though, for that special offensive line that you guys had back in the late 90s that really was a catalyst to the good things that happened?
Yeah, there's so many things that they kind of just happen organically. One, we had a bunch of veteran dudes, a bunch of guys that had played at a high level and played in other places. So when we came together, there was a bunch of guys who had success in the league, right? But we had all had either injury issues or, they were done with you or whatever. So there was this kind of, F-troop mentality to it. Part of playing offensive line is there's this kind of natural secret mushroom society to it, meaning that nobody really knows what we're doing except us. And so we like to keep it that way. Even the head coach doesn't really know how we're blocking things, right? We just do. And everything is code, there's secret codes to everything. And the funny thing about it is, if you're really good, nobody gives a shit. It's just when you're not good that people notice, right?
Or become experts.
Right, yeah. So, it's good just to be really good and nobody actually realizes what's going on. But for us, there was a real connection because of kind of what we'd all been through at other places. And we had a great leader as an offensive line coach named Alex Gibbs who, demanded greatness. And I tell you, I'll never forget the first meeting. And there's always Andy. There's two types of players that played for Alex Gibbs. He's either the best coach that you've ever played for, or the worst coach. You can either handle his personality or you can't handle his personality. And the very first meeting that we ever had, he's like, "Listen, I'm going to demand so much from you guys. I'm going to grind you. I demand we're going to be great. I demand work ethic. I demand practice habits. I demand study habits. And I'm not going to ask you to do anything I'm not going to do. There's nobody that's going to outwork me or whatever, blah, all this stuff." And then he goes, "But just understand this. If it comes between you and the team," I hate using curse words.
Go ahead. It's a podcast.
Okay. Well,
understand
that this is his exact words. If it becomes between you and this team, he goes, "I'll fuck you." Just understand that you're getting fucked. And he goes, "All right, are we good?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, we're good." I mean, I'm like, I know exactly where I stand. Like, if the team becomes more important than me and my salary, like, I'm gone. And I'm like, I'm okay with that, right? I mean, it's a production business. You've got to be able to be good. And then I think one of the cool things about our group is because we're kind of this ragtag group that was put together. You know, I was told by Washington I couldn't play anymore. And then I bounced, I failed physicals in Chicago, in Atlanta, in Indianapolis. And so, it is what it is. I mean, that's kind of what happened to me. So, but when I signed in Denver, it was like, all right, I finally got a place, that wants me. Gary Zimmerman is a all-decade performer with the Minnesota Vikings. For whatever reason, they didn't want Gary anymore. One of the great players that's ever played. Brian Habib, also from the Vikings. Tommy Nalen was a 7th-round pick, and when we first got here, Broderick Thompson was our right tackle, and he had bounced around the league as well. So it was kind of this ragtag group of guys. And the thing I love about that is that you can take 5 guys from different walks of life and different parts of the country and kind of put them all together. And as long as they're willing to sacrifice for one another, like, you can be really good. And I always say one of the most beautiful places in the world is Monday after a game in an offensive line meeting room. Because we live in a society right now where everybody knows their rights and not enough people know their responsibilities. Like, you want to talk about responsibilities being taken. Walk into an offensive line meeting room on Monday. Like, I could give up a sack, and Gary Zimmerman would be trying to fight the coach to get the sack recorded on him, because we all get graded. So you could make we could have a slide to me, and I could give up I could give up an outside, like my outside shoulder, and I get credited for the sack, and they'd be all on me. And Gary Zimmerman would be like, "Oh, hell no, man. I was supposed to use the drag hand. I'm supposed to be slower there. I didn't need to jump out like I jumped out. I'll take the sack. That's on me. Put it on my scorecard." And, Tommy Nalen would be, no. I was supposed to get over there, and I didn't get over, I mean, people fighting to accept responsibility, even responsibility that's not theirs necessarily. Like, where else do you see that? Most guys are pointing the fingers. You walk in the offensive line meeting room, everybody's pulling the thumb. I'll take that responsibility. That's me. And that's one of the things that was beautiful about it. That was one of the things I loved about it.
How would you go then about putting that back together today? I mean, the Broncos have tried it every way, from drafting to, now adding free agents. We'll see how this latest crop of free agents works for those because I keep getting asked, do you think it's going to work this time? And look, I mean, you're one of the guys that teaches me. I've watched film with you and so on and so forth. You and I think, are of the same opinion. And I'm worried about up the middle this year. I know this. Our buddy Jeff Legwold has hammered into my head. Doesn't matter how great your quarterback is. There's not a quarterback. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, the greats, Aaron Rodgers, they don't want it coming up the middle. They don't want it coming on their front porch, as guys tend to say. And I'm worried about the front porch of Joe Flacco now, Right. And I really don't know. I can't tell you that I'm in love with the thought of having Connor McGovern as the center this year. I like the kid, but I don't know if I like him as the center.
Right.
How would you go about trying to put something together? What would you look for?
It's funny because as I travel around with Fox and call games, for the last couple of years, this is something that has happened consistently. GMs, before the game, I'm always out there early. I've done my prep work, and I'm ready to go. And I'm out there trying to just talking to coaches and talking to a few players and talking to GMs. And I have been approached by probably a half a dozen GMs over the course of my broadcasting for Fox the last 2 years, calling games, that have all said, hey, man, it's an epidemic. The college is not producing offensive linemen that can play. We don't have enough practice time, yada, yada, yada. What would you do? Like, how would you coach these guys? How would you go about doing this? I had a team that reached out to me here recently, asked me to come in and do some consulting after the draft. So it really becomes this kind of epidemic, like, how would you do this? And I guess it's like anything else, Andy. You've got to be able to coach nuance. You've got to be able to explain the game and make sure guys understand the game from the neck up. That's the most important part for any position, really. I mean, physicality is nice, and you got to be physical, but you got to understand the game from the neck up, because if you don't, if you're a half a step behind or a half a tick behind on a snap count because you're not sure who to block, the athletes on the other side of the ball are going to get you 100% of the time, especially in today's game. So you've got to really understand that. So it becomes very imperative to understand the game, to study the game together. I think one of the things that has hurt this league is everybody takes an iPad home. Here's your iPad. Go study at home. And they can run the iPad while they're playing Fortnite or whatever it is they play, right?
Right.
So one of the big things for us as a group was to get in early. When I first got here to Denver, I convinced Shanahan to put breakfast for us in the morning because we were only getting lunch. And he's like, why do you guys eat breakfast? I go, I'm in here every morning at 5. I come in I'd be the first guy in the facility at 5 o'clock in the morning. I do 2 hours of rehab, and then around 7:30 we'd had a 9 o'clock meeting. 7:15 I'd start my film study, and so I'd study film from 7 to 9, and then we'd have 9 o'clock meeting. And I go, do you know how many of the young kids that I could get to come in and sit with us, even if it's for an hour or whatever? Like, the veterans are coming in anyhow, but I can get all the young kids in here because they're getting breakfast. So instead of swinging in McDonald's, grabbing an egg muffin, right, slinging into the facility 8 minutes before the meeting, throwing on their sweats and running into the meeting, I mean, they're sitting down having eggs and bacon and oatmeal and whatever, and they're watching film with me and with Tommy Nalen and with Dave Diaz-Infante and with Gary Zimmerman and Brian Habib, and we're watching together. And, the concept is, 4 eyes are better than 2, and 8 eyes are better than 4, and 16 eyes are better than 8. And you start seeing things, and you start talking about the game, and it's amazing how much better you become as a football team. You start to see it on the same page, and you start to unite and tie together and go, whoa, rewind that. Zim, you see that stance? Stink, did you see? And you start to have those communications, and it gets to the point where, you can just kind of grunt and point, and you get on the field, and you break the huddle, and you're walking up the line of scrimmage, and I can look at my tackle or my center, and I go, you see that? You see? Oh, yeah, I got it. We used to create stupid, just stupid phrases. Like, I'll give you for instance. We used to create stupid little things, and it's almost like a challenge to see if we're on the same page. And so a fold block, right? We call that a pop block. So we call it a pop or a fold. So if the center's covered and we want to fold that, right? I'd come off as the left guard, and I'd stab the nose guard, bam, coming on an angle. The center would drop step and fold around me to the linebacker, right?
Okay.
So we can call that a fold or a pop, right? So you remember the song Talk About?
Yeah.
Pop music, shooby dooby doo wop. I want to dedicate it, dop dop doo wop. So what was it? Pop music. It was spelled like M-U-Z-I-K, pop music, and it was by the band M. And so we get to the point where you out there, you want to fold something, you go, I'll talk about, you know, I mean, you're in a game going, shooby-dooby-doo-up. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. In a game. If I went to Tommy Nail and went, shooby-dooby-doo-up, he would know exactly what I was talking about. Exactly. We'd run a full block. So you get to the point where you're playing, right? And you're having fun doing it, but you're so tied together. You're so knitted together. And now all these guys run out of the facility with their little iPads, and you know, how do you develop that kind of chemistry? How do you develop that kind of connected?
You don't, because the same problem we see with the kids. Everyone's in their phones. Now you're back in your phones, and like you said, what else can I do on this iPad other than just watch this tape? And
right.
How do I not talk to you? So it was funny because you and I both got to know Ryan Harris real well from the 2015 team, and he talked about how they had to go old school, where he kind of did what you talked about. They got to mid-season, and they were struggling. And he's like, all right, guys, we got to come in here and watch tape together again. We got to talk this out. Like it's like they went back to what you did. We can't just sit here and be one, show up when you want to and whatever. We got to start talking this out together so we get on the same page. I mean, I hope they start doing that. It felt like the Lions started doing that, but, you know, I don't know, Mark. It'll be interesting to watch. I don't want to dive into too much of it yet because let's say who's playing what position and who gets drafted. Before we kind of wrap this up and we got some good food sitting in front of us, I want you to tell anybody, what did you think of the Nike commercial that you guys were stars of, but I don't think any of you were actually in? Remember that one back in the day, taking on the Bulls? Were any of you actually in that commercial?
No.
Was that by your choice, or what happened there?
I think it was they call it a favored nations clause or something in these contract where they're going to use your likeness and everybody's going to get like $2,500, and they go, hey, here you go. And you're like, oh, I don't have to do anything? You're going to cut me a check for $2,500? And you go, all right, I'm in. I mean, essentially that's how it goes. I don't think anybody showed up to do it.
Did you like it? Was it cool?
Yeah, no, it was cool. Yeah, you know, whatever. It's I mean, I've gotten enough to do enough of those kind of things that all those things are cool, you know, to like, whether it was, you know, I was on Guiding Light for a couple of years, or to, you know, do HBO Ballers. I'm back on season 5 this year. Those are all cool things, but it's so funny. I chased a lot of that stuff for a while too. I sold a sitcom with Wahlberg and Steve Levinson, and we made the pilot, and we got beat out by 2 broke girls. And then I sold another sitcom that never went to pilot, and I've sold a couple of reality TV shows, one to the landscape, to the Home and Garden Network, and I've done a bunch of that stuff. And every time I sell it and I think it's cool, and then it doesn't actually come to fruition, it never actually gets on air, it just makes me realize, dude, your bread is buttered and you've been blessed by the NFL. And so, you know, stay in your freaking lane. Like, the HBO thing is cool, it's great, you know, people like it, but come on, like, football is what I've been blessed to talk about, what I was blessed to play, and so I just try to keep in mind that that's my lane and I need to stay in it.
All right, last one for you, because everybody loves the stories. You know what? I'm going to change the question a little bit, because, you know, I like getting stories out of you, period, but who's the most famous player you did the shooby-dooby-doo-wop block to? Do you remember? Do you remember a game where you did it in particular and the guy just got meleeed by it or whatever?
No.
Or did you ever get a look from a D-tackle like, what the?
Oh, yeah, there's all kinds of stupid things. Well, the thing I like best about playing is we used to play – this is the greatest game in the world, so I'm going to – for those who have never heard of it, we used to have the karate chop game. We used to have the look at the circle game. You know, we would play them. We would play them in the huddle, like during TV timeouts and stuff. So you think we're all in there like, hey, did you see the 3 technique? And no, we're just dicking around. You know, we're a bunch of children. So anyhow, we used to play this game called the O'Reilly game, and it's
Which
a game.
Is now a Saturday Night Live bit. Good for you.
Well, it was a game I brought from a guy by the name of Dave Harbor, who taught me the game. Dave Harbor was the deep snapper in D.C. when I was with the Redskins my rookie year. And the O'Reilly game is a game where I say something to you that I know is wrong and you know it's wrong. And my only hope is to get you to correct me, right? So, for instance, For instance, so, and then if you do correct me, I get right in your grill, like nose to nose, and go real sarcastically, "Oh, really?" Right? So I would say something like, there'd be some music playing. Let's say AC/DC's playing, and we're in TV timeout. You know, and they play music over the stadium, and it's Back in Black, right? Everybody knows the song. And I would turn to Tommy and go, "Oh, my God, this is my favorite Nazareth song. It's off that Hair of the Dog album." And Tommy Nealon goes, "That's not Nazareth. This is AC/DC Back in Black. And I go, "Oh, my helmet to helmet where our face masks are touching. Oh, really?" Right? And he's like, "Oh shit!" You know, he'd be all mad that he got like in the middle of a game, just felt for the "oh really," right? And we used to play in the huddles all the time, just stupid stuff. Just waiting to come back from a TV timeout. Yeah. Just anything to entertain yourself.
Do you ever talk trash with anybody along the line?
No.
Never once? Never F you or I'm coming for you or?
No. I don't want to piss people off. My job is tough enough as it is. Man, I have plenty of guys talk to me. But I didn't talk a lot of smack. I used to do what I used to call pour syrup on guys or pour honey on guys.
How great you are.
Yeah, just tell them how great they were. Oh my God, the film, what you're doing this season has just been incredible. Like,
Stat.
Yeah, like
I'm voting for the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I'm voting for you for the Pro Bowl, man. What you're doing is, full well. Hoping that they just get so full of pride that they can't even function anymore. And there's a lot of guys, mostly Raiders, that would fall for that.
All right, here I swear this will be it because we'll have to do another one sometime if contractually allowed. Yeah. But it's the favorite story that you told me. I wasn't even there, but when I tell it secondhand, my friends just love it. You got to tell everybody the story of the 4th down in Kansas City facing Dan Williams that you told me that you famously converted for a first down on the game-winning touchdown drive, but was so close to going the other way. Do you remember what play I'm talking about now? I'm worried that you don't now.
No, now I'm confused. What?
You guys are in Kansas City in the playoffs in the first Super Bowl drive.
Uh-huh.
And the place is going nuts. It's 4th down. Ultimately, John completed a pass to Ed McCaffrey.
Okay.
But you were trying to be the eyes and ears for Zim.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, always.
And you got caught off guard. Can you tell everybody you knew John Elway? I'm trying not to tell the story for you because it's always stuck with me. But you said that you basically looked back and John was somewhere where you didn't expect. And the play...
Well, yeah. What happened is it's so damn loud, and you can't hear. So when the quarterback gets into his cadence in crowd noise, he'll lean. And now they've gone to all silent cadence.
Right.
When you're under center, you don't go to silent cadence. When you're under center, you still call the play. So, we've got some 5-step drop on or whatever it is, right? And so it's a shorter pass, going to get out of his hand quickly. Like, we would eliminate all the 7-step drops in Kansas City because you just couldn't hear anything, right? And you just put your tackles and your edge players in a bad position. So John would lean to one side, then he'd lean away. And the offensive snap count has a rhythm to it. So it's blue 80, Sarat, like that, right? That's kind of how it goes. Or if it's on 2, it's blue 80, Sarat. And so there's kind of differences to the snap count, and we as offensive linemen, we always jump the count. So if it's on 2, when he goes blue 80, hot, you're gone. You don't wait for the hot, you just go on 1, right? Everybody goes, right? And that's the only advantage you have as an offensive lineman is to jump the snap count, right? Jump the cadence. So we're in the middle of the huddle, and John leads to our side, goes blue 80. He's screaming. You could barely hear it. And so I got my head. I'm in a stance, and I'm looking right up. Right, looking right up at John, who's, right next to me, as he's shouting. So I'm looking right up as he's shouting. I'm trying to get the timing because I can't even hear him shout. I'm just trying to look at his mouth, right? And so he was a blue 80, and I'm looking up. I'm craning my neck, and then he turns the opposite way. And he goes, blue 80. And I'm just like, he's leaning the other way, and I can't hear anything. And obviously I'm off the cadence because I can't hear it, and and my head's looking up, and the ball snapped, and I'm still looking over at John to see where he's at, and Dan Williams, his defensive tackle, and just about breaks my neck. I mean, sideways, right? Hits me in the ear hole. I black out for a second, and I'm just like backwards, like backstroking, right? I'm backpedaling, trying to get my hands underneath him to get him stopped. He's just driving me like a rented truck, I'm like, and finally I stop him. Probably, a yard before he's about ready to.
Time. You said if you watch the video,
right,
you see your feet digging just in enough time.
Enough time for John to get rid of the ball. But I'm just scrambling, trying to do whatever I can to stop Dan Williams because he's got me on the snap count. And like I said, he hit me right in the freaking ear hole. And you just black out for just a split second as you're retooling your hands. So yeah, that's
your famous line to me was, "If he knew anything other than a bull rush."
Oh my God!
Your playoff run ends.
Right. If he had taken an inside swim, he'd have hit John in the teeth before John even got the ball. Yeah, but he was just trying to. Well, and here's the beauty of being me. I held so bad on every single play that at that point he was so pissed about me holding him that he didn't want to actually get to the quarterback. He just wanted to impale me. That's the key, right? So I'm like, at least I can survive that.
Dude, thanks for joining me.
Absolutely.
All right, that's it for After Hours. We'll get you another one come midweek next week. Thank you.